computer. Welcome, everyone. I'm excited today. We have back Dr. Phicenna. He was with us once before, and I got really a lot of people liked him, made great comments because he's into so much original research. And I had asked him if I knew he was doing through the years all this research on vibration and oscillation. So he's going to do a talk tonight about that. Vibration, the paradox of vibration and oscillation. And he'll tell you. Hello, Dr. Phicenna.
Hi, how are you?
You want to give us a little bit of your background?
My background is, you mean like...
You're an architect?
Yeah, in 70, I graduated with a degree in engineering, electronics engineering.
Yeah.
And then I changed my mind. I wanted to go back to something more open, so I went back to architecture. And then I got my doctorate in architecture.
And after don't you have an ND too?
Yeah, and then health was always on my mind from my father and my grandparents and all that. So I wanted to get into that. So I went to a program with Dr. Morton and also Dr. Panos Papas. And then
this is the same Papas that with that machine you had, the
yes.
lightning machine.
Yes, it's called.
I didn't know he was one of your teachers.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I mean, we collaborated for a long time because the reason we met because I had done a lot of writing on magneticity, and Dr. Panos was researching in Africa, and he realized that Africans, they had, especially nomads in villages, they had a way of totally flush any disease out of their body, and they were never getting sick. And he realized he was a physicist, and I was in health. And then he realized that when there was a lightning, these Africans, they laid in a circle with their foot in the sand. And when there was a lightning, there was no wet sand, but there was a dry sand. And all of a sudden, it flushed all their diseases, unfriendly organism out. So we are talking about germ theory and host theory. So they were not hosting any diseases anymore because that magneticity and magnetic lightning flushed everything out of their body.
And so he did research with the Native Americans also, didn't he?
Well, he was working with mostly in Africa.
Oh, mostly in Africa.
But he was not very well accepted here.
Yeah.
So
I remember trying one of those machines.
Yes.
Sparks came out my toes.
Yes. Yeah. No, actually,
it
when
was
you
true
put the machine,
lightning.
Yeah. If I hold my finger about 5 an inch or something, or 5 centimeters away from your nose, because it comes out of your nose the most.
Oh, really?
All of a sudden you see a spark.
Wow.
Or if you hold your finger like this, and I hold my finger right across from you without touching, and all of a sudden you can see the spark.
Wow, kind of Tesla stuff.
Yeah, well, except Tesla was oscillatory. Dr. Panos was DC. It was vibratory. So,
right, but this is such a perfect little entree into your talk.
Yeah, I mean, we can, because these are two contrasting research, so I got going back about 25 years ago with Dr. Panos, and then we started working together. And then I used the machine for plants. We had 4 experiments, which was published in Europe. Now, if we take the seeds, we have 2 sets of seeds. One is regular seeds, and the other one, we use magneticity on the seeds with this machine. Because that machine puts 50,000 volts and 20,000 amps. That's 1 billion watts.
Wow.
1 millionth of a second. So that's why it doesn't hurt humans, just like lightning.
Right.
And when we magnetize the seed, when you put the seed, all of a sudden it grows 2-3 times faster and also bigger than the one we didn't magnetize.
Wow.
Now, the other experiment that I did, then, we took the water.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have 4 experiments here. We took the water and magnetized it.
Mm-hmm.
And we gave it, to the one with the magnetized seed and without. So when you give water with magnetized water to that, all of a sudden it also makes it grow much faster and much
Amazing.
bigger.
Is anyone using this technology anywhere?
Well, I mean, not in here, but in Philippines they have used it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And what happened, because that was mostly, they used a lot all over Europe, everywhere they use it except here, because many reasons, whatever.
Powers that be. Let's move on.
Yeah. Because
okay.
Now, the effect of that on cancer, because cancer, if you look at some of the charts that I have sent you before, cancer is a very low energy cell.
Mm-hmm.
Its energy is about 35 millivolts. The healthy body is about 70, twice more than that.
Mm-hmm.
So when, the body goes to that low energy because of very minimum magnicity,
mm-hmm.
then that cell is cancerous. So when we put this on the cell and
mm-hmm.
you magnetize it and bring it back to 70 millivolts, the cancer cells, it goes away.
Wow.
Because you're not hosting it. It's based on Abyssinian theory of hosting, and Beauchamp, which was adversary of Pasteur.
And Phicenna was your hero from Persia,
1,000
right?
years ago. Yeah, 1,000 years ago.
Okay, so let's get on with so it's going to be about all of this, vibration versus oscillation.
And that's why, we have to make a distinction between voice and sound.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before we get to that point, I have to clarify a couple of alphabet for this.
Okay.
We have to make a distinction between a function and a system, because science has taught us about a system, everything, heart system, lung system, kidney system. It's not a system, it's a function. The reason is the difference between function and system is this. I give you 2 examples, and that probably clarifies for everybody. A function is a system is defined or governed by input and output.
Okay.
And also it's defined by Newtonian paradigm or Vedic paradigm, which is action and reaction.
Mm-hmm.
You see, the system works on that, input, output, and the ratio of the output to input, we call it what? Efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
And efficiency is always way less than 1 because we have energy loss. Now, so function is based on field and flow.
Okay.
And it's based on cause and effect, not action and reaction. For example, because I am not a host, the organism does not come and affect me. Because, I have a very high magnetic field, then, I have a more healthier flow. I mean, I don't mean me, I mean you or anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People.
So function is, again, field and flow, cause and effect, and system is input and output, action and reaction. Now, action and reaction, it cancels each other, like positive and negative. It's duality. So Newtonian paradigm is based on duality, action, reaction, positive, negative. All of our science is cultivated on duality since Industrial Revolution. Industrial Revolution was cultivation of entropical paradigm in duality, which everybody by illusion accepted it as progress. Okay, so now when we have function and so everything is functional. Now, biological being, if by empirical observation, yours, mine, or whoever, you notice all of the biological functions are vibrational. They vibrate.
Okay.
Now, vibration is measured or indexed by pulse, like we have a pulse. Now, mechanical systems are indexed by something called frequency. Now, if you look at the difference between frequency and pulse, there is no vitality in frequency, but pulse has a vitality.
Okay.
So that means, that's why we talked about it, last time, EEG or EKG. They can pick up my best pulse in translation to oscillation because they can.
So when we talk about pulse, is that related to scalar energy then?
It's a scalar, but the scalar, we have to define that again. It has non-dimensional.
Right.
So therefore, we can't say time and space in it.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens, our vitality, you can't put time and space on it. It's a pulse. Frequency, right. Yes. And then I have some charts here. And also the assumption of DNA. Now, one more thing we have to define here is the law of motion.
Okay.
Now, the law of motion is governed by, in a systemic paradigm, by oscillation and rotation. Oscillation rotates. Rotation, right? Now, the law of motion by empirical observation, yours, mine, or whoever else, is what? By rotation, vortation, and peristalsis. Let's look at the red cells in our blood. Let's look at Earth. All of these, they have those three attributes of motion. Systemic paradigm does not have that. It's all rotation. So from rotation, if you want to become in an expressive mode, is what? Geometry, because geometry is based on the circle. Now, we don't have anything as circle in creation because Earth, if it was a sphere, when it turns around itself, it becomes a spheroid. The top and bottom goes in and the belly comes out. Now, everything rotates around something else. Everything in the universe is swimming around each other. Earth goes around the sun. At the same time, sun goes around the Earth. Okay, so now what happened? This pressure that since sun has more magneticity when it's closer in that orbit of egg shape, it's a little pushed in and the other side is a little pushed out. So nothing is spherical. It's egg-fibrical.
Egg-shaped.
Yes, egg-shaped, right? Yeah, so it's therefore, there is no such a thing as circle in creation. So therefore, we cannot express anything in circle or geometry. For the same matter, we cannot express anything in mathematics. Because if I tell you there is 9.5 planets going around the sun, in my backyard, I have 8.5 trees. See, expression does not really express anything about reality. Everything is numeromatic in creation by empirical data, not mathematic. Mathematics is expression of what? Fragmentation.
Okay. Oh, that's what I was remembering, the open and closed system. Okay. Yeah. You're speaking of open systems as opposed to closed systems.
Yeah. Because
and when you were talking about the egg, it always reminds me of Schauberger.
Yeah.
How he made those water containers and everything in egg.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, because that's available by empirical observation, whether it's you or me or Schauberger or whoever. It's available to any person in life. So there is no exclusion or exclusivity in this. It's all by observation. So we are coming to empirical observation versus experimental assumption, because when I make an experiment, I make several assumptions. 2 years later, you prove my assumption was wrong.
I just like when I was thinking, we were talking about this at some other point, but like Goethe, I mean, everything he did was visual, like what he saw.
Yes, empirical. That means it's all by observation. Now, it brings us some of the charts. We get to it later. You notice when it's observation, all the functions of creation is not energetic. Our body has no energy. If it has energy, we are dead. Our body is synergetic.
Okay.
Yeah. Synergy, that means, things come together. Let's say, for example, an apple. We have carbon in the air, we have nitrogen, oxygen, and a little whatever else. And then there is a will of God that when they come together by the spirit of an apple, we have an apple. See, you know, it's synergize, means coming together, synergetic. Energetic means it is governed by law of entropy, means ever increasing chaos. So that's why Industrial Revolution was cultivation of entropy by the illusion that it's a progress. It was entropical cultivation. So now that's why, you know, one of the slides we come later, we have to look at civilization and cultivation.
I saw that you were talking about. I hadn't heard that before about the civilization and how do you say it?
Cultivation.
Cultivation.
Yeah, because cultivation is like marketing. I'm going to come and market it to you. And if I create enough fear in you, you buy my insurance instead of assurance, and then you buy my product. Because if I say, if you don't have it, this is going to happen to you, this is going to happen to you, and all that. So all that, but in order for me to sell insurance, the roots of insurance is what? Fear. But if I have assurance by empirical data that when I put one seed in the ground, I get 70. When I put one corn, I get 700. I have assurance. That's called sufficiency. That means I get more than one. Efficiency, I get way, way less than one. So if there was no sufficiency, there wouldn't be sustainability in life. So that's why the current paradigm that we are facing right now, it's exigency. There's an exigency. Exigency. Urgent necessity.
Oh, okay.
It's called exigency. There is an exigency that we have a paradigm shift or it's going to be a shaft. Now, because what happened, we have to realize it's the race between entropical, carrying capacity of entropy in the creation and availability of resources that by oscillation, all the vibration is being destroyed.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good way of looking. I see. Yeah.
So what happens, when is the end? The end, you know, is carrying capacity of entropy. How much environment can take entropy and still sustain itself? Because oscillation destroys vibration. So that's why, you notice we have to make a distinction between oscillation and vibration, sound and voice. Oscillation is the sound, voice is vitality. Your voice, it tells me vitality of you. When somebody's voice is a little higher or happier, you notice they're more there's more vitality in them. But
that reminds me of, what's her name? Sherry Edwards.
Yes.
And then how she would like have people come in and then she would find the missing note.
Yes.
In there. One of the interviews I had with Jill Mattson, she's working with Sherry now. And they did all of that stuff for the veterans.
Because we have if our voice is centropical, synergetic, there's no fragmentation in it. But if it's energetic, there's energy that governs the fragmentation.
Got it. Didn't you work with her for a while?
Yeah, I mean, it was a long time ago, you know.
I just remember that.
Yeah, she came to, when was it? Maybe over 20 some years ago when she came. I was in Cupertino then, I guess. Yeah, she came there. With her husband.
Okay, so you're going to show us these slides to make this all real.
Now, one other thing, if you look at vibration, is what? It's natural magneticity. You notice if you have seen that chart that I have sent you before, you notice in regular oscillatory magnetism, which is Belize or Shumeri and all those people, or mechanical magnetism, horizontal axis is magnetic.
Horizontal or vertical?
Horizontal is magnetic and vertical is electric.
But that's what Ibrahim says.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But in reality, in the nature.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying, because I thought you were looking at it differently than they do.
Yeah, no, that's true, because the electrical is vertical, horizontal is magnetic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in vibration, that's oscillation, right? In vibration.
Oh, I see, that's an oscillation. And you're saying Shamari and Basial were doing the same thing in all their magnetic research.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they were thinking in context of system.
Mm-hmm.
The system is governed by oscillation.
I get it. So so when we have all of the way biogeometry and everything, they're working on the oscillatory part of it.
Yes.
Okay.
We don't want to step on anybody's toe.
They're doing oscillation and you're doing vibration.
Yeah. But on the other hand, the vibratory magnetism, the magnetic, we have charts on this, you'll see it. The magnetic component is what? Vertical.
Yeah.
And then electrical is horizontal, exactly opposite. That's why this cancels the other one. Now you can see why vibration destroys oscillation, destroys vibration.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that's why the magneticity of the sun, it has to be vertical to reach the earth. It couldn't be horizontal.
Mm-hmm.
Or the communication between all planets are what? Magnetic, vertical magneticity, which is vibrational.
Now,
so
would you say that oscillation and vibration are on a different plane?
Well, it's what happens is we'll talk about it, in the DNA charts.
Okay.
Now, what happened is, if you look, when you have a field, a magnetic field, you induce a flow. Look, our body has a magnetic field and induces a flow in our nervous system. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you have a flow, as you said it earlier, it's open system.
Right.
Now, if you have a flow, you get a field. So when you're really happy and you have a good flow, you have a good field. Right. But if you have a good field, you have a good flow, healthy. Right. You see that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's amazing, huh? This creation is just so intriguing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's why I use a lot of the word exigency. Exigency means absolute and urgent necessity for paradigm shift. Exigency.
I don't understand. Say that word again.
Exigency. Let me see if I have the spelling of it. It's EXIGENCY. Oh. And it's got many derivatives, exogenation, and it goes on and on. It's a whole another
talk. Okay.
Yeah. So what happened is, so there is an exigency for paradigm shift because we are reaching the carrying capacity of environment for entropy. My body or yours, we have a carrying capacity for, let's say, toxins. Mm-hmm. We have a carrying capacity for negative emotion. Mm-hmm. We have carrying capacity for, let's say, drama or negative thoughts. Mm-hmm. When it gets to that threshold, we blow up or we get sick. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the environment. So we have to realize that. Mm-hmm. Now, the issue with oscillation and vibration, you can see many scientists, in the past, start from Phicenna, the whole issue of distillation of essential oil, that still they practice that. He invented that 1,000 years ago. That's why he had 916 different oils. Now,
so you were talking, like the essential oil.
Yeah.
Is the vibration.
Yeah. The essential oil had what? It doesn't have a pulse, but it has oscillation. So therefore, if I'm smelling it that I have a virus which has vibration, it cancels it. So that's why he could use essential oil to get rid of some diseases.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because if are you familiar with music? We have pitch and rhythm. Mm-hmm. Pitch is the vertical component and rhythm is the horizontal.
Exactly. Yeah. So
that's why, when essential oil has rhythm and pitch. Each one of them, now in systemic paradigm, they refer to it as frequency. Bruce Tainio tested all of that in the University of Washington. Mm-hmm. So each, let's say, rose has 360. And some of them, have up to about, let's say, helichrysum has 186. It's very high. Human body vibrates between 62 to 68.
Okay.
So once, we go below 62, we get sick. Below 58, the body is sick. That's why coffee is about 56. Smelling coffee wakes you up, but at the same time, it brings your vibration down. Those are tests by Bruce Tainio. He passed away, but he did a lot of.
Isn't he the one that did that one where you could read the auras on your fingertips?
That's Dr. Konstantin Korotkov. Bruce Tainio he invented that, but Bruce Tainio studied under him.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, that's why,
That's why I equate it with him. Okay.
Yeah. Bruce Tainio was a student of Korotkov, so he studied. That's why Korotkov, in my opinion, was great as Avicenna, because he came with one of the greatest breakthrough in health and science. Because we talk about field
Russian?
We talk about field and flow again. The most flow in human body is their fingertips. Now, this is our giving hand. This is our receiving hand. Now, each finger, when I photograph it, it tells different aspect of my being. Now, this one is my mental. So there's an aura around it, like iridology. You've seen the same thing we have, same thing around the finger, except this is magneticity. This one is physical. This one is emotional. And this is what my intuition, my soulful, so how much I'm in my soul, my faculty of my soul. And this is my judgment, whether I'm making subjective judgment or objective judgment. When I'm subjective judgment, I don't hurt anybody. I talk about general. But if I'm objective, I say me, you, he, or she. See, all of a sudden somebody get offended. So this shows in here. So when we take
it's always, you look at that thumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so, it's interesting, because this is Jupiter and that's Saturn and that's the sun, Apollo, and that's Mercury.
Yeah. So
these, and it totally correlates with what you were saying.
Yeah. And this is the giving hand. This is empirical data. When we take a picture, it doesn't lie. It doesn't lie about anything I am about.
Yeah. I had those pictures that you took with that machine and I lost them. I was so upset.
Yeah, I have some of those. I'll send you some. And this is the giving hand and this is the receiving hand.
Right.
So I have to have a balance. All of a sudden, now 95% of the cancer or any other diseases is emotional. Emotation, because our emotation is not fulfilled in cultivation of modern life. Everything has become systemic again. So the whole universe is governed by emotation, recursion, and polarity. We have created GMO. There's no recursion. We have created abortion. We have created no emotation. Everything is mechanical. And then instead of polarity that life is about, we have created duality. Left and right, Republican, this, communist, capitalist, everything is duality.
And we have to get back to both and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those our emotion is not fulfilled in vibrational context. We have emotional issues. That's why diseases shows in this finger, 90 to 90, especially cancer patients, it's the emotional issue.
Which, the fourth finger or the third?
It's the ring finger.
Oh, the ring. Oh, so that's the wedding one. So that's emotional.
Yeah. So that's why I put the ring in here.
Exactly.
Yeah. So emotation, recursion, and polarity. What have we done in terms of recursion? We destroyed production, recursion of the seeds. We have GMO. GMO stands for God move out.
Hey.
Because all of a sudden I'm systemic. I created my ego. I want to centralize everything around me. So every one of you guys come and buy it from me. So my ego means edging God, eliminating God out.
Okay.
Yeah. So these are some of the stuff, we have to notice the difference between pulse and frequency, vibration and oscillation. And many scientists look at, for example, Rife, Raymond Royal Rife,
Right.
Goethe, Steiner, who else, Wilhelm Reich, all of those people, that they were able to really successfully deal with the illnesses. They use oscillation of the same pulse, and same rhythm of the same order and magnitude of a germ's vibration.
Right.
So if I created this oscillation against the vibration of that germ, it created devitalization, because oscillation causes devitality.
Yeah, I had like a video from way back where he would do the frequency, and it would stun that germ.
Yeah.
The video went on for and it just like he'd do one after another. And it was amazing.
Yeah. So this oscillation of the same pulse and same rhythm of same magnitude and order in sync with the vibration of germ, it caused devitality. And the germ did not find me as a good host and tried to get out of my body, so I have to drink a lot of water. So basically Reich did that, Wilhelm Reich did that, Goethe did that, most of the Phicenna did that. It was general, it's nothing new.
Yeah.
So,
well, because it's the truth.
Yeah. The truth, is not invented.
Right.
Anyway, so these are some of the basic, I thought, let me see if there's anything else, I missed here. So we clarify things. We already, and one good example of that is EKG and EEG. And we already talked about magnetic and electric field, in either one of vibration or oscillation.
Well, maybe when you go to your slides, that stuff's all there.
Yeah. Okay. And also, just since voice is a vibration or expression, you can see it in somebody's expression. Like without saying anything, you have a voice in their face. You have the voice in their eyes. You have a expression or vibration in their tone. And somebody was really sad, all of a sudden their vibration drops. So those are all visible sensorial faculty in the soul. Okay, let's see. I guess pulse is the voice of vitality. There's no vitality in frequency.
Yeah.
Okay, so we go back here. Can you see this slide?
Doing your screen sharing?
Yeah, I have to click on that.
Yeah, and double click the picture.
And let's see.
It hasn't come on yet.
A screen sharing. And then double click here, correct?
Screen share hasn't come on yet.
Did it come on?
No.
No?
So go out, stop sharing and come in one more time. There you are.
Okay.
There it is, and it's big.
Okay, good. It happened by accident.
We got it. And then you're going to hit that little arrow. Okay.
Yeah, I have the arrow right now.
Okay.
So if you look at, we want to create a phytopia, an environment which is all functions by phi, because everything in creation is governed by phi, that perfect proportion. Everything from my fingers, from my heart, from every parts of my body, everything in the nature is that divine proportion. So therefore, if you want to resonate with nature, we have to get in that same scale. So this creates an agro village, I call it California. Like
now, was this something you developed, or?
Yeah. I mean, I have almost about 1,700 PowerPoints. Each one of them is dealing with different aspect of all this. Now, if you go this, you remember this? It was back in 67, 66, sound of music, because music has a sound.
Mm-hmm.
And it's measured by what? As we all know, frequency.
Mm-hmm.
However, most of the music we had, it goes 5,000 back to Pythagoras.
Mm-hmm.
And he is the one who created octavation. That means when he divided a string into half, the
Mm-hmm.
frequency of each half becomes double. So
Right.
that's why in piano, you have octavation. Every 7 notes, it becomes double.
Right.
Now, since all the voices are based on phytivation, that means every time, goes phi, I took a santur, very similar to piano, which is the mother of piano with 72 strings.
Mm-hmm.
So I created every octave, I made it into phytave. That means every 7 string, you become times 1.618 instead of times 2.
Okay.
So therefore, you create something which is phytivation, not octavation. So my santur is octavation, or my piano.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, when we are doing phytivation, we resonate better in proportion with the voice of the nature.
Oh, okay.
So this difference between octavation and phytivation.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, when we are in phytivation, you notice these two birds are communicating.
Mm-hmm.
By what? Phytivation, and by what? Immotation. Immotation is the practice of magnicity. Mm-hmm. Sun and earth are emoted to each other.
Right.
Because of the immotation, they have magnicity. So love is function of magnicity, because it causes immotation between male and female, two polarity. That's why it's immotation, recursion, and polarity. So that's why it's voice of love. Now, there are many architectural stuff that they created, same thing, just like phytivation of form.
Somewhere?
Yeah, I'll explain to you. This was what happened. You notice there is a lot of instruments, just like instrument in these pendentive.
Mm-hmm.
This was done about almost 400 years ago. And what happens, since there is when you are in the mountain, when you yell, it echoes. Mm-hmm. And it echoes, maybe it's about 5 seconds or whatever, 2 seconds. But if you make that echo a little bit longer, then what happened, this was the palace of a king, very much oriented to our invisible architecture.
We got there. Okay.
Right in your alley.
Yeah.
So this is invisible architecture, invisible music. So what happened, this musician, they came to this palace, and they played the music. And it has reverberation and a time lag to echo back. So when the musician left, the king and queen came and they had privacy, and the music played back again.
Is this for real?
Yeah, it exists. I have a lot of slides of this.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So this was done about 400 years ago. That's why you notice you see a different instrument in a space, just like, in guitar, you have a space in there.
So is this in Iran?
Yeah. So this is a palace, now the paradigm shift that we have to take, we have to create an understanding that pi is non-existential reality. And we have to go to phi. Mm-hmm. Because there is no such, phi is by assumption, that if I assume Earth is not turning around itself, and it's not going around the sun, and it has no rotation, and peristalsis, or if I assume my blood cells does not have rotation, peristalsis, blood won't move in my vessels. Mm-hmm. So pi is the index for existential reality, that something that there is no motion, non-existential motion, but everything is in motion. So we have to go the paradigm shift in terms of expression, impression, and a statement from pi to phi.
Okay.
Now, I give you this example here. if you can, this is by empirical observation, not by logical or reason. 2 plus 2, reasonably, we are taught is equal 4. And same thing with Vedic science. They have shown us Newtonian and Vedic are the same thing. Vedic is the ancient version of Newtonian paradigm. 2 plus 2 is equal 4. So this is called equivocation. I'm equivocating a thoughts in you that 2 plus 2 is equal 4. I'm cultivating that formula because equal sign does not exist in creation. So equivocation is an assumption. 2 plus 2 less than 4 is regression or entropy, which we call it pollution, literally. Now 2 plus 2 more than 4 is progression, centropy, and assurance, because when you put 2 seeds, you get much more than 4.
Right.
Everything you put in the nature, the light, the energy, synergy, everything that happens in the creation by empirical observation, empirical data, to you, equally to you, me, and everybody else. There is no exclusive.
You're basically saying that there's no, when any number that's equal, there is no equal.
Yeah, there is no equal.
It's either less or more.
Yeah, less is by my ego, and then, more is by my surrender, submission, and service to creator and creation. So anything that happens in the creation, if you look, I am not bigger or smarter than creation. I'm much dumber. So anything that happens, that anything you put 2 plus 2, it's way more than 4. Otherwise, there would not be any sustainability for recursion of our living things.
Something to think about here.
Well, yeah, I mean, just look at, don't listen to me or any scientist. It's so easily available to you and everybody else when you look at the nature.
I mean, it's like a new way, something to ponder, as they say.
Well, otherwise,
just like, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Because it's not my words or yours,
right?
Or his or hers. It's there. It's the synergy or centropy, ever increasing order of the creation, ever expanding. So, I mean, I cannot come and change that by my assumption. And if I do, my assumption is quite wrong.
Well, the 2 plus 2 less than 4 is like you get into fractionalization, right?
That's entropy. Let's say, entropy.
Yeah, I mean, that's the closed system.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, anytime that's why efficiency, input, output. Let's say you put an input to a system, you get an output. Output is always less than input. So that ratio of output to input, we call it efficiency. But in the ratio of field and flow and cause and effect in the creation is way more than 4. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any life, vibration, or sustainability. So this is the law of creation. If I change that by my systemic assumption, I have to cultivate it in you by illusion, and then you may accept my formula.
Well, in this brain research they've done, they found that kids don't automatically do math like this.
Yeah.
They do it differently. Yeah.
Yeah.
They have to be taught to do adding and subtracting.
Yeah, if they tell you, if a kid comes and tell you 2 plus 2 is more than 4, they call him autistic.
Yeah.
Because they are not, because we are taught to be objective, not subjective. In this finger, you see, remember? We are taught to be a specialized, not self-sufficient. We are taught to be focused, not have a peripheral vision so we can relate things together. See, our education is based on that. It's objectiveness, focused, and what? A specialization. So if I become a specialized, I know more and more. A specialization is this. I know more and more about less and less until I know everything about nothing.
Yeah, it just gets more narrow.
Anyway, so that's why sometimes in the creation, you notice an orange plus an apple, it creates a pear, and that's synergy. And no, and no apple, one apple is not equal to one orange. We have to stop looking at things quantitatively. We have to look at it quantimatically. One apple is not equal to one orange. One man is not equal to one woman because they all have their own identity and characteristic. You can't quantify them to number because they all have their own attributes. Each one of them, no two fingerprints, no two things is exactly the same.
Right.
That was when there's so much diversity in everything. That's why it nurtures innate longing for unity. If there was no diversity, there was no innate longing for unity. But there is no two things the same. So there's innate longing for unity. And that's for all living things. So we talked about this here. You know, if you look at, let's say now, magnetic and electric field. In systemic paradigm, we have electric field, as we talked about, vertical, and then, which is, let's say, pulse. And then, you know, the distance here, which is magnetic, that's what? Horizontal. Now, if you go to, this is oscillation, which is sinusoidal. Now, this is vibration. You notice magnetic field is vertical, electric field is what? Horizontal. That's why magneticity of the earth, the sun can come to earth. Otherwise, nothing would happen. If there is no magneticity from the sun to earth, earth cannot turn, rotate, or have peristalsis. Same thing are blood vessels. However, this assumption is wrong because nothing goes sinusoidal. Now, I have a whole different lecture to show that DNA does not do this. We go to this one here. If you look at how they express, oops, what happened? Okay, if you look at DNA, you see DNA is sinusoidal. It means oscillation. DNA has vitality. It cannot oscillate. It has to vibrate. I have modeled all this in a whole PowerPoints, you know, separate from all this. It takes about 2 hours to go through that. But,
well, we're already at an hour, so.
Yeah, so so what happened is now here, you see, this is incorrect because something with vitality cannot be oscillational. So all the DNA models is based on systemic equiliation and oscillation. You look at all of these people, you know, that they are talking about it. So you notice, you know, if you look at this, it's sinusoidal wave. There is no sine wave or oscillation in vitality. Now, if you look at somebody came, you know, and did him a favor, says the end of genetic, you know, the end of these DNA models. Now, if you look at polarity in mutation and recursion, it happens in vortal field and flow. Yeah. Now, if you go back here, now we can go to charts, you know, here. So we went over the whole paradox between function and system. One is field and flow, and the other one is input and output. One is cause and effect. The other one is action and reaction. And that's why you look at biological stuff. They are field and flow, mechanical or input and output. So this biological is existential reality. It's assurance. That means, you know, it's not insurance. It's assurance. It's look at the empirical observation of you and me equally as anybody else is assurance. Then it's based on governed by synergy, centropy, and sufficiency. This is by energy, entropy, and efficiency. You see that? This defines vibration. This defines oscillation. This is by attribute index of pulse. This is by attribute of frequency. This is vitalizing attribute. This is devitalizing effects.
This is a great chart.
Huh?
This is a great chart.
Yeah.
I really get it, you know.
I have about hundreds of these, you know.
Well, we just need one.
Yeah.
We got to get this down.
Yeah, this is resonation. This is dissonation. Your cell phone dissonate our brain waves. Now, this is symbiosis and fractylation. This is disharmony and fragmentation. Or it causes the dibosis, the opposite of symbiosis. So this is empirical. It's available to you and me. No laboratory involved. This is experimental. I have to have a laboratory. You have to give me a grant and give me a white jacket, you know, and glasses. And
now walk around the garden and observe.
And then I have to do it on very limited variable. I can't do all the variables. In nature, all variables are involved in empirical data. So it's complete. That's why it gives me assurance. This is it. I have to buy insurance because 10 years later, you're going to come and see, you know, my assumption was wrong. So this is creation, and it has roots and discovery and phi. This is wheels, invention, and pi. So this is the nature of voice and the sound. Okay. Now, you go to the next one here, you know, in terms of medicine and medical practices, therefore, you know, based on that voice and sound, now voice, now you can see voice has a much more quantumatic and quantumic, you know, quantumatic definition.
Okay.
So just the same thing with sound. So here we have naturopathic, we have allopathic, you have relative vitality. This is relative toxicity. Every medicine that you go to get a permit, it's based on relative toxicity. This is on synergy. This is based on energy, centropical, entropical. Healing is ever increasing order. When I'm sick, when my order goes up, I become healthier.
Right.
Entropy, that means I become sicker and sicker. This is pleomorphism. This is monomorphism. This is host theory, all the way back to Avicenna, and the other one is germ theory. It's based on germs, Pastorian assumption, modern medicine. This is healing. This is killing the germs. So this is, they say, when they say that thou shalt not kill, doesn't mean me and you or this and that. The act of killing is prohibited.
So Beauchamp, when he was into his host theory, was really, it was Avicenna had put it forth before. Yeah.
And then, you know, what happened, you know, if you notice, because of the magnicity of the hand, when you have emotion, physical, mental, non-judgmental, intuition, that's why Isa ben Maryam, which was his real name for Jesus Christ, when he put his hand on somebody's head, all of a sudden induced healing. Because of this, because his magnetic field was so, just like the lightning of Africa or the Dr. Paris, it flushed everything out of somebody's body. So he said, what I can do, all can do. Okay, so this is innate regulatory function. This is remote stimulatory induction. This is pulsed food. This is dead food or drugs. Has no pulse or negative ion. Alkalinization, acidification. When we are alkalinizing, the magnetic field goes up. Latent effect, this is sensible effect. Right away, like aspirin. This is constant cure. This is instant relief. Healment, treatment, optimum health, iatrogenic state.
I like that, healment rather than treatment.
Yeah. So the healment is when our magneticity goes up, because magneticity increases centropy. Centropy means ever increasing order. If in your body and mind, the order goes higher, then I'm healthier. Then the order goes down by entropy, I'm sicker.
Right.
It's as simple as that. Okay. Now here, it brings us to whole paradox between civilization and cultivation. So civilization is the empirical observation of nature. We become civilized with nature, with respect to nature. Cultivation is my idea, and I come and cultivate it on everybody else. George Gerbner, University of Chicago, cultivation theory, very famous psychologist. So this one creates function and functional paradigm. This is systemic system and systemic paradigm. This is biological, this is mechanical, this is existential reality assurance, this is Newtonian assumption insurance. And then synergy, entropy, sufficiency, energy, entropy, efficiency, vitality, vitalization. This is the vitalization, field and flow, input, output, cause and effect, action and reaction, vibration, resonation, fractalation. This is oscillation, dissonation, and fragmentation. Mm-hmm. And here, I have rotation, peristalsis, and here I have only rotation. The symbiosis, they have antibiosis. This is symbiosis, this is antibiosis.
That's a good one.
Huh?
That's a good, I like your words. It's a good one.
I have to design words.
The same word, and you make antibiotic into antibiosis.
Yeah. So because we have to cover, just like we design houses, you have to design words and poetry. So this is empirical data, experimental data, polymorphism, monomorphism. This is cellular function, the function of our soul. This is cellular function, our cell phone. Mm-hmm. You see, that's that voice and sound again. So I think, we are pretty much covered. You saw this, and then this is.
I think this is plenty, Mo. Everybody's got a lot to think about.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
this will be one of those one we'll have to review.
Yeah.
So stop your share.
Stop the share.
Up at the top.
Oh, here, yeah. Stop sharing. Okay.
There we go. That was great.
Well, these are things I've been talking
about. That was so much in an hour. What were we? An hour and 10 minutes. It was like, wow.
That's a whole week of, each one of these, I have about 400 or 500 slides, so it goes in more detail. But
so this is what you on that radio show you have out of, this keeps coming, that radio show out of Glastonbury?
Yeah.
You do like each week an hour, is that it?
Yeah. I've been doing that for some time, So each time I go to a little, because I have about 1,700 PowerPoints on all these topics.
Can you send the link to that? I tried to find that, and
I have not been able to do it. My daughter was able to do it, and the guy said, you go there, and then you look under his name. And you have to.
I looked through and I couldn't. But anyhow, we'll work that out, because people who want to know more, then they can go back and review it. And yeah. Okay, so thank you. This was a great one. I'm going to end it now. And everybody, will see you next week. And thank you. This was really
hopefully, we didn't throw a lot of people or stepped on anybody's toes.
Well, it's impossible not to these days. So, okay, bye, everybody.